What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Welcome Back podcast. This is episode 2. Today we're going to be talking about Spiderman, Lizzo, and a surprise topic. So, Raymond, if you just get right into this Spider-Man situation, I just have no clue what's going on. I have a couple of questions. How does this Spider-Man movie exist, and why is it racist? So if that's something you can explain to me like a 5-year-old, I'd very much appreciate it.
So the lore behind this movie is that there is a YouTuber who's been making. I think he's a huge Spider-Man nerd. He's been making content on YouTube for years now, and he had this idea for the film. I think he went to film school. Um, he he got this project crowdfunded, so it's paid for by the people, and it's supposed to be. I believe it's just like a just a pop fan film. I don't know if it's supposed to go in like what kind of theaters it's supposed to go. It's going to get released online, but that's the history of the movie. But apparently, a year ago, I think, um, the the creator of the film and the actor for Peter Parker got outed for using racial slurs and I believe other offensive terminology,
Yeah.
and people are just saying that, oh, what does this mean for the movie? How does this affect LeBron's legacy? Things like this. And I just don't, you know, think that it should fully affect the movie's release. I don't think they should obviously rewrite the characters, but I just feel that, a lot of people put their time and money and work into this film, and I feel like it should be seen by the media, us.
Here's my question though. Why how is this movie does it how does it even exist? How come Marvel just hasn't come and just say, "Yeah, you can't make a Spider-Man movie and release it in theaters?" That seems crazy to me. How do you even like I saw like people lined up on a red carpet for a premiere. That makes no sense to me.
I think I don't know if that was an actual theater or not. It could have been a home theater. I think that Sony is just based, and I think it's more of a Sony versus Marvel thing. Um, I don't I don't know too much on like the internal how they, maybe they messaged Sony was like, hey, we're huge fans. Can we make our own project?
Yeah, maybe they're probably no comment. Like I know Sega doesn't really care when people make Sonic fan games, so it's probably maybe the same thing. But the thing is, too, you said you watched some of his videos. There's no shot. I heard like that they've crowd what is it like they crowdfunded like $100,000 worth of like for the budget for the movie. There's no way the movie's good on $100,000 budget. It's a Spider-Man movie. What do they have claymation for the web swinging sections? It makes no sense. I don't understand how they're gonna do it on 100K.
I'll tell you one thing though, you gotta. It's all about how you use, your VFX artists, right? So Dune, that movie, that movie Dune.
Yeah, with
I think
Zendaya.
the budget was 150 was 150 million,
Yeah,
and it looks really good. But obviously, most Marvel films are way over that budget, and they end up looking like chaotic shit pieces.
yeah, like PS2 games, like Black Panther.
Yes. So, if you don't know Napoleon Dynamite, you know that movie.
Yeah, oh yeah, obviously.
I think that was made with like 50,000.
True, but that's like a movie about a high schooler. This is a movie about Spider-Man who
This
needs to
this is
swing.
not just a movie about Spider-Man. This is a movie about a high schooler who happens to be Spider-Man. So it's like Napoleon Dynamite with a little bit extra steps.
Like why making that like distinction? Is it supposed to be a comedy or is it like a racism comedy like Blazing Saddles? I don't get it.
Yeah, here's the thing. Oh, well, let me ask you, as a member of the Black community, what do you think about the racist past of the Peter Parker actor? Do you think he should stay in the role, or do you think he should get recasted
Well,
after some?
the thing is, I always believe like death of the artist. So like, let's say Kanye West made like the best song ever tomorrow. It's still going to be the best song ever, even though he said like all that stuff. You know what I mean? You have to separate the art from the artist. So like, it's not just that one racist guy, the one racist creator. you know, and I don't even want to say they're racist because I haven't really seen what they said, but because there's a difference between saying the N-word and like saying crazy stuff. You could say like something way racist without saying the N-word, but that's besides the point. I need to look at what they said. But yeah, like okay, the creator may be racist, the lead actor may be racist, but still like I'm assuming dozens and dozens of other people worked on that movie. You know, it's not just the result of two people, first of all. And even if it was, art is art. So, like, I would still see it. I just don't think there's no way this movie's good. There's no shot.
So you don't think the ship goes down with the captain?
No, I don't think so because there's a lot of crewmates.
Um, I back up that claim. I don't think that everybody's work should be wasted, and especially money. I feel like if you're like, oh, I gave you 5,000 for this movie, and I found out this guy is he's really a bad person. I mean, like, come on, we're cherry picking at that point. Obviously, it's Peter Parker. He's what the movie's centered about. But to scrap this work that has been on, it's been worked on for a really long time, and all these people's passions, you know, they're probably startup actors. They're trying to get their careers started. You're just going to push everybody else back, and it's going to affect everyone.
Yeah, and I think this is a pretty what is it? It's a pretty like special case scenario. So like you have a bunch of people who already crowdfunded the goal, and although I think of Death of the Artist and stuff like that, and a piece of art should always be, you know, it's a piece of art separate from the artist. You need to think of it like if you're a creator, you need to think about the marketing perspective. So like is having this Peter Parker in this movie, is it tanking your movie? Are people not going to come see it because they heard Peter Parker's racist? So like that's stuff you need to think about. If you're the maker of the movie, even though I feel differently, I'm not everybody. You want your movie to succeed. Like it probably is a timeline thing too. So if like those text messages came out just a year ago, I don't know how far along in the process they were. So really, maybe like you said, like maybe they couldn't get a new Peter Parker, or you know, they couldn't find one that couldn't stay away from slurs. I know it's very hard for white people sometimes. So like, I wouldn't like. It's a tough decision, and you know, I guess it's a less tough decision since the creator was involved too. But I like you said, I feel like, and I guess it's people's rights too. If you don't want to see a movie with the actor who said something bad, you don't have to. I'm not putting a gun to your head to do it, but it's definitely it kind of creates another conversation that probably shouldn't exist. It's like I said before, it's crazy this movie exists in the first place.
I like your I like everything you had to say. I just got a quick question, and I guess this affects both of us because I was backing up your claim earlier. What would be the length or the extent you would take this logic to? Like, let's say I don't know, went on a psychotic rant, and let's see if I just started killing millions of people, right?
Yeah.
Um, and let's also say that I had a few art pieces. Um, do you you know, let's even say my name was Adolf.
Golly.
Do you think that those art pieces should still be separated from the artist to that extent, or do you think there's a line?
Yeah, no, it still applies. Even Addie's Addie's artwork is still separated from the artist. So if I think his art was pretty mid. I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was good. But like, let's say it was like really, really, really good art. Well, first of all, he probably wouldn't have done a genocide. But let's hop off that point. I think if it was really, really, really good, it would still be really, really, really good. Even if, even you know, even though he did, you know, all that stuff. The only example to this that kind of makes me feel weird is like, let's say he made a piece of art of him doing a genocide, and then he went and did a genocide. That's kind of the only thing that like gets me a little iffy. Where like, oh, this great piece of art informed what he did later on. That's it. That's the only I don't want to say exception, but like that's the one that makes me uncomfortable. That's the bullet bite moment. So like if he made beautiful art that had to do with excluding people and you know everything he was about later on, it'd be kind of hard to justify that because the art would be informing real world action, and you can't separate something informing somebody in there. You know what I mean? The art is then
Yeah,
affecting the real
it's
world.
so like I guess for this case of the movie, it would be kind of similar if, say, if he was saying the slurs and he didn't cast any people of color in the film and he didn't cast any gay people off that, you would think that
Or more like
because
this, more like they said that stuff behind the scenes, right? And then they put
yes.
it in the movie, and then they were actually racist in real life.
So
But
if they put the racism in the movie,
yeah, like they made a really good movie about racism, and like for some,
oh, it's like hypocritical.
no, they made a really good pro racist movie.
Oh, okay.
So like if your art backs up a bad idea, like we can't just say it's bad art if it backs up a bad idea. I think there could be good art that backs up bad ideas, because a lot of the times like you go back and you're like, "Oh wait, this movie was about this movie was about this. Boss Baby is about being Republican." But like I think you could have good art with bad intentions and it could still be good art, and that doesn't seem right to me. That doesn't seem good to me. But right now I'm thinking that must be true.
It's kind of like that saying that if I don't know, this isn't it word for word, but it's basically along the lines of if you can beat somebody, it's better to just not like take them on at all.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Like, yeah.
Um, that's all I have for the Spider-Man Lotus. I mean, I'm gonna watch the movie.
What is it?
As you said, I'm gonna.
I would like to watch it too. What is it? You said you don't know when it's coming out, if it's like digital or whatever.
It got pushed back to either 23 or 24. It was supposed to come out in 22. I'm not sure if the controversy pushed it back, but
Huh.
that's what
Let
I
me
know
see
right
this.
now.
What's the actual title of the movie?
Spider-Man Lotus, like the
Spider
flower.
Man Lotus. Really? I typed in Spider-Man Lotus into Google. The first thing, it's not release date. It's racist.
But you started with an R.
Yeah, true. Spider-Man Lotus. It does say 2023. It releases August 10th, 2023. So that would be
Wait, that's
if
like in 3 days.
yeah, that's in 3 days. So if we can please watch this movie before our next podcast, that'd be awesome. If
Yeah.
it's reasonably priced. Like sometimes they're bugging, but yeah, I will definitely let's watch that. Also,
Okay.
Spider-Verse comes out digital tomorrow, just by the way.
Ooh, that's cool. I
Yeah.
don't have a DVD player, but that still
Digital.
pays.
What do you mean DVD?
Oh,
You thought
my
DVD
fault.
stand for digital video digital?
No, Dungeons versus Dragons, dude.
Oh, that's what it stands for. Okay. All right. So I think the next topic I don't know too much about either. I've read a little bit here and there, um, and what I've read is very very interesting. But Lizzo's in a little bit of hot water.
I'd say so. You want to take the lead?
Yeah, so basically, Lizzo's in a couple of lawsuits right now from former dancers, saying that she, had these dancers in a toxic workplace environment where she was firing some dancers because of their weight, made sexual comments towards them, and that's really the two main claims. And then Lizzo, of course, denies these allegations and says that these dancers were warned about inappropriate behavior, like the dancers performing inappropriate behavior before they were fired. So she's saying that's kind of the reason. And the thing that kind of gets me is that, of course, I cannot say anybody's innocent or guilty right now because thousands of celebrities have lawsuits like this all the time. The reason that this one is so popular is because it's kind of goes against everything Lizzo stands for. The reason that I'm kind of like I'm on the fence, obviously, but I'm leaning towards the dancers on this one because their lawyer is so confident. Their lawyer is like, "Oh my gosh, Lizzo is denying the allegations. I can't wait to bring this to court." Like he's like very very confident, and it's kind of scary. But yeah, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Lizzo. Literally is supposed to be the embodiment of, female empowerment, at least for the past couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Like through her music.
Yeah.
So for this to all come out, obviously, it raises some suspicions. Some people are saying hypocritical. I would say hypocritical. It's a word I use a lot. I can't stand hypocrisy. Um, I didn't listen to Lizzo anyways, so this doesn't affect me.
Nah, she has a couple good songs. I'm not even gonna lie.
Is that the one where she's like, "Bitch, it might be better," or is that
Yeah, yeah,
the?
yeah, 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 yeah. Or the one
Okay.
that says almost that, but in like 4 different words. Yes.
Oh yeah. See, I didn't like. I knew the song. I just don't have it on any of my playlists.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
You hear
but
it in
now
the
I have a
gym.
reason to.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I have a reason to. Um,
No, no. When the person you hate got canceled for a good reason, so you actually can bandwagon hate on them.
exactly. It's like, guys, I was right the whole time.
Guys, how
I
did you
I
not see
started this.
this? Yeah.
So like if you're Lizzo in this situation, what do you do besides sexually assaulting your workers? Obviously.
Um, I would hold on. I'm about to. Okay. I would suck in my boogers. That's the first thing I would do. The second thing
Ooh.
I would do is no, no, no. If I was Lizzo right now, she can't do much actually. She just has to sit back and like watch people. If it's not true, all she has to do is sit back and watch people slander her until the case comes. If she did do it, and I think this is a thing, like on Twitter, I've seen them like pulling like Lizzo interview quotes and saying, "Oh, if she said this, she probably did." Say sexually inappropriate stuff about her dancers, but like
Yeah.
what's going to be important in this case is going to be tone. It's going to be how did Lizzo, because I'm almost certain she said things like, "Oh, you fat B word," or blah blah blah. Like, what do you like when Lizzo calls somebody fat, she means it in a good way, but somebody else might take that in the wrong way. So like, uh, um, I think like tone, you can't just read a quote off of something and say, "Oh, Lizzo's in the wrong, Lizzo's in the right," because the way she speaks about like being overweight and being like, plus size is usually in a positive way. So you're going to have to like hear how she says it. So if she says, "Oh, you fat," buh, is probably in a harassment type setting. But if she's like, "Oh, you fat bull, you my girl," you know what I mean, that's probably so. Like the same thing could be said like in a good way or in a bad way, and we're going to have to actually like wait. We cannot look at a sentence on a paper and say, "Oh, this person's right, this person's wrong," depending on a sentence. But I think a lot of those sentences are going to be like fence sitter sentences you're going to have to hear.
Like you're gonna need the direct quote. Is that what you're saying?
I'm going to need to hear the direct quote. I can't reading the direct quote's not going to do anything for me
So
because of how she speaks.
you think she's speaking on brand to herself, like hmm. I don't think there's anything I can say comparatively that wouldn't make me come off as super offensive or get me canceled. Um,
Yeah, yeah, no, just because like she always is positive about being plus size and being her size. So I think like when she uses the word fat, like she means it in a positive way. Generally speaking, I'm sure she probably called somebody fat in a bad way in her life, right? So like when she tells somebody, "Oh, you're fat," blah blah blah. She could mean that in a good way, but obviously most people aren't going to take it that way, and she could also mean it in a bad way. She could be saying, "Oh, but dancer, you're fat. Why are you still here? I'm gonna fire you." So like don't basically don't take up cut up clips of everything needs to be in context, and written words not going to be enough based on the quotes I think were described on both sides. So yeah, that's really what I think. That's really it.
Even then, after all of this, the only thing I can see getting taken to like higher higher places in like the court is the sexual harassment charges, or is it sexual assault
Just
of her
harassment.
workers?
I think it's
Harassment,
just
yes.
harassment. Yeah.
That's the only thing I can take. I can't see her calling her workers fat, what's going anywhere. I mean, I just don't see it.
I
Um
But the thing is, that's very like that's a very bad social thing. Socially, like we most people probably that's wrong. I'm sure people will care about the harassment things, but it's the hypocrisy of her like calling her workers fat in a bad way. That's kind of what's like sticking out in this story, because she would be like a huge hypocrite if she's like firing people over her weight if she's the I love my weight person. So like even
Do
though
you
she
think
might wait, hold on. I think this might not even be this might just be a civil case first of all, so there's not going to be any criminal charges, anything like that anyway. But yeah, it's a hypocrisy thing. But yeah, go. I interrupted you.
do you think this could all be like ironic?
No.
Like, you don't think that Lizzo can like know she's very big, so she could just call everyone fat?
Oh, like she means it in an ironic way? Yeah, I think she could mean it in an ironic way. That's why I was saying like you kind of need to hear how she says it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can't take stuff out of context. You could probably give me a two sentence paragraph that Lizzo says that sounds terrible, but if she means it in a joking way, and I'm sure like all of us have this somewhere, you know, joking with your friends, or like in certain contexts you could say like crazy things, but you know you and your friend know you're not serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's probably stuff like that. I don't want to say it's probably stuff like that. I think like basically if you see anything that comes out of the story that sounds like that, you need to have that in your mind when you're reading it. So just like stay aware.
So, you know, Lizzo fans, I got my eye on you. I'm gonna see if you switch up or not. Um, that's all I had to say on my piece of Lizzo
Yeah,
story.
no, it's actually pretty. It could be pretty similar too. She's making these offensive jokes, if they're jokes, to her dancers, and you never think that's gonna get out, and oh, now it's out. Just like Spider-Man and Spider-Man and the creator. So, yeah,
It's gonna be like that movie, The Black Swan. You know that movie
I
where the
I always wanted to watch it. I did not watch it.
I think it's a metaphor for like eating disorders.
I did hear that.
So I guess maybe Lizzo should be enlightened on the movie, and you know that way she won't treat her workers so badly.
Allegedly, damn, you're a brand risk. Okay, we're about to get cease and desist by Lizzo and Peter Parker at the same time. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, maybe if they weren't such bad people.
Okay. Next topic. I actually did not bring this up beforehand, but it's so crazy we need to talk about it. Kai Cenat started a riot in New York City, bro.
Oh, I did see that.
How
Dude,
how
I
does that happen?
fucking I can't stand the city. Everything wild happens in the city, bro. I
But
mean,
no, someone said New
over
York
a
City is Gotham now.
dude, it literally, bro, might as well be. I don't understand like the big groups of people. Oh, let's break shit.
Yeah,
Like what?
that's so cringe. That's so cringe. Yeah. Like
Like
dancing on cars, like come on. And the thing is too, Kai Cenat, like I've watched like you know all the clips, and I've watched like his stream. I don't think he condones like rioting. I don't think he condones that, but like obviously when you get 20,000 people into Union, what is it, Union Square Park or Union Park, where they have the good Christmas coffee and the Christmas stands. It's not that
I
big.
didn't
I
know
don't know what
about
they
it.
were thinking. I don't know if he's ever had a meet and greet ever. But if you're one of the biggest Twitch streamers and you go to one of the biggest cities, you're going to have to assume it's going to be huge.
Do you? hmm, is Kai Cenat the guy who just gets really hyped and got like stung in the face by a bee or something?
I don't know about the B thing, but he is just. I don't want to say he's just a hype guy because he's creative and he puts like work into his streams. But yeah, if you've seen a clip of him, he's just. Wait, no. You're thinking of I Show Speed. That's who you're thinking
Oh,
of.
okay.
I think I Show Speed's a little bit funnier, but he needs to chill out. But Kai Cenat is a little bit older, and he got like 100,000, what is it, subscribers on Twitch, and he's just been doing the Twitch thing for a little bit. But yeah, but it's not just Kai Cenat. It was like his whole like I don't want to say group of friends because he has like a network. It was the entire. I don't want to say the entirety. It was AMP, so it was Duke Dennis, Agent. Yeah, so it was all of his crew with all huge, ginormous followings doing a PS5. I think it was a PS5 giveaway. And you honestly,
Oh,
if
okay,
you're
I know.
nobody, if you're nobody in New York City and say, "Hey, I'm doing a PS5 giveaway," you might start a riot in New York City by accident. You quite honestly, you might start a riot.
I mean, obviously, most of these people were there for the meetup compared to the PS5 giveaway. Because
Exactly.
do you think this was a good decision on Kai Cenat's part? Do you think he like couldn't have seen anything going wrong with like what he was like? Do you think he was clueless to the situation?
I think he's probably the thing is too. People are blaming him a lot, and yeah, he's stupid for like not. He's stupid for thinking this was going to go well, but at the same time, in my head, I think he feels very disappointed in his fans right now because like I feel like he thought it was going to be very civilized. Like he never thought his fans could riot in New York City, jump on cars, break windows, you know, break car windows with people inside of them. Like when you're a creator and you're separated from your fans like through a computer, I just don't think that's something you assume your fans are capable of. So I think there's a huge element that like he's like pretty disappointed in. He just didn't expect his fans to go so crazy. But if you're being responsible, you should have definitely known that it was going to go crazy. That like everyone knows the stereotypes. Even with all of your friends, if you throw a house party, it's going to get crazy and your mom's vase is going to get broken. It's the same thing here, but you might go to prison, even though
Would
everyone knows he's not going to prison.
would you say he has blood on his hands?
He didn't. No one died, but no,
Metaphorical blood. I
metaphorical
mean,
blood
cars
because
got destroyed, people got injured.
I want to say, well, there
I think the
wasn't.
store got robbed during the incident because of the high amounts of people
Yeah,
and so much going on.
the thing is,
Um,
the no permit thing is kind of big. Like you're not supposed. You're supposed to get a permit if you're doing something big like this. I don't want to say he's directly responsible for like anybody getting injured or anything like that because those are all on the people who are doing it. And specifically, okay, maybe it's some metaphorical blood is on his hands just for the commotion of it, and if anybody got hurt just in in the pile of this unregulated mess, yes, that's kind of Kai Cenat's fault. But like people going out of their way and like looting stores and like beating up shop owners, that's not really on him. That's people going above and beyond. And then, but I did see a video of his car driving away with like 10 fans on it and he's still driving. You probably shouldn't do that. So like yeah, he has metaphorical and I think like literal blood on his hands for the car incident. That was not good.
no. Um, yeah, I I feel like the only you can only get away with this if you are Nick A30
Honestly, if
because his fan base is dedicated to kids.
exactly.
Um,
If Nick A30 does this, all the kids are probably going to be planting flowers while they wait. They're probably going to be helping homeless people get jobs. Like it's going to be like the most productive thing like the world has ever seen. Like that's going to happen if Nick A30 gives away PS5s in Union Square.
so yeah, that was I didn't think I'd ever see that from a streamer.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy seeing that on the news. Like it's crazy seeing like NBA tweet out like Kai Cenat's at their NBA game. Like it just gets crazier and crazier with like how much this fake world we grew up in is like bleeding into the real world.
Yeah. Um,
But
sooner or later with virtual reality, it's gonna turn up a notch.
yeah, no, I saw some crazy takes on this, and it was like, Kai Cenat, it didn't get arrested because he started a riot. He got arrested because he showed how much resistance we have. Look at what one streamer can do. The NYPD cannot even handle one streamer. Like, what? It's like no, maybe he got Honestly, I don't know about inciting a riot. I need to look at the particulars of that, but maybe he got in trouble because he made a huge group. He made a huge group of a huge unregulated group of people. Maybe that's why he got in trouble. But yeah,
He,
what
he got charged with first-degree rioting, but he got released.
that is a crazy charge. I'm not even gonna lie. That's crazy, and I don't want to say it's good or bad because police probably know more than I do. But first
He's
degree
like, guys,
rioting.
guys, look what we can do as one as one community. Look what we can do. He's just starting resistance. Uh, anything else on the Kai Sinat headline?
No, but New York City's so dense. If everybody left their apartment at once, it would literally be a. It would literally look like that. So like, yeah, they need to figure something out. Nah. New York
Pays for
City
rent.
sucks, and it probably smelled. Not gonna even lie. The whole city smelled, and then you have a whole bunch of body heat, like all that body heat in the summer. Yeah, just imagine the stench. But yeah, that's it. Um, this topic is special for you. I was thinking about Sonic Frontiers, right? And I just kept
Yeah.
thinking about like when is that DLC coming out? When is that DLC coming out? And I kept thinking about it and I think I'm the problem because I love incomplete games. I love games that come out and literally just have a story mode and then they have like, oh, Knuckles is coming out in a year or blah blah blah. There's a season pass. I have a reason to go back to the game. I'm literally the type of person that's ruining gaming right now.
I enjoy that content when it is free of charge. I
Yeah.
think that if you're just dropping a game and then saying, "Hey guys, in 3 months, multiplayer is coming out, woohoo!" and it's gonna cost extra, or like, "Hey, you're gonna be able to play as that other character that was always part of the franchise in 4 months, but you're gonna have to pay extra to play as him, and he's got his own story mode and everything." I just think we're at a point where the DLC is selling, is the main money making scheme of the games and not the actual game itself.
Yeah.
It also becomes a huge problem when it's obviously pay to win, like a lot of the EA games are.
I'm
You buy the
totally
packs.
I'm totally okay with pay to win in single player games. So the fact in Resident Evil 2, I can buy the what is it, Infinite Rocket Launcher with $5.99 and I don't even need to play the game once, that's a W. That's a
Yeah,
huge W.
I'm getting at more of a online game though. Like,
Yeah, Call of Duty is bad with it.
yeah, when they
Or
used to have
was.
special DLC guns that you can only get in supply drops, and you'd have to buy them to get them. I think uh, I don't know. It really depends on like the, I guess, the quality and the quantity of the game,
Yeah.
like what it's offering, how and I guess how far the DLC is like different from the main game.
Hmm.
If it's obviously like a part of the game that you feel that just they said, "Oh, F it, we'll drop it later at extra charge." But I think I like what Sonic Frontiers is doing because I believe all the DLC is free to the base price.
I believe so too.
So, and honestly, it gives the game some extra length to hold on. So like the Sonic Frontiers hype is still going on almost a year after the game came out because everybody's like, "Oh, there's a whole new fourth DLC. We're gonna go back to playing as like different characters again in the 3D Sonic games. It's gonna be great." I'm really excited for that type of stuff because we really haven't had it since the adventure games, which everybody wants remakes of, and to continue that.
Yeah, you know what too? I think the last thing you said, I think it's a game's goal. Well, first of all, I think I was going to ask a question. I was going to say, what if I think your answer is going to be yes, it's bad, but based on what you said, but what if Sega said, "Oh, we can release the main campaign now if we cut the Chow Garden mode, if we cut multiplayer mode and so they're cutting modes out of the game to release it early." So basically, they're releasing an incomplete game, and then they're putting those modes in later as free DLC. Are you okay with that or not okay with that?
Um, Obviously, if they confirm that and we're like, "Hey," like, we, nah, they wouldn't confirm that, but
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah,
It really depends how good the game is.
yeah,
If the game just feels like too short and it feels like it should have had those features in it at launch, then yeah, I'm probably gonna complain.
yeah. No, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. But like what you said earlier about like, oh, the Frontiers hype is still alive. The Frontiers hype is still alive. I think like the especially with single player games, Frontiers is a single player game, like a story game. I think the biggest fear for like all games and single player games are like the most like have the most to fear is that you release your game gets released, people play it for the month, and then they just forget about it. Remember Deathloop? I was just looking
Oh,
at that game, bro. Nobody remembers that game. That game got like, did it get anything after? I have no clue. But like, you played Deathloop, and then that's it. You know what I mean? Like,
that game was supposed to be so cool, but I never beat it.
oh, you never beat it. It's decent,
Um,
but yeah, it came out, played it, never heard anything about it ever again. Which is probably how a game should work. But I feel like people are making battle passes and season passes to try to get people to not forget their games.
yeah, honestly, and I go on Call of Duty now, and there's an update every week. My brother, he can't even play on on his console anymore because he's ran out of space because there's an update literally every week.
Literally me.
Um, yeah, yeah, it sucks. Like, I don't need all that content in a game that's only supposed to last a year, anyways. And it's like I get on the game, and as soon as I get on the game, I can't just go straight to multiplayer. I have to watch a movie cutscene showing off like what all the new battle pass content is, and then the first thing that pops in my face is not the HUD menu. It's select A to buy battle pass and get all this stuff, and it's like I'm trying to fight to find what button I have to press to not like buy it because it's an instant transaction,
Yeah. I think
and
what
it's
was
so
it? Just on the same topic, I think in Diablo 4, right next to the map button, they had a buy season pass button and it was one click transaction. Once you clicked it, it bought it for you.
yeah, I saw a guy who did that, and he was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, it sucks
Wait,
so bad.
hold on, right in the back.
What's up? What's up?
Um, so yeah, I think this really all ties into like the game length because Persona 5 it had the main game and then it had what was it Royale that came out like how long after was it Royale?
It was Royale, it was a year and some change, but that's just Atlas BS. They release the game and then they release the game again with like 10% more content. Everyone buys it. That's not a good method.
Oh,
Yeah,
no, that never mind.
those suck. But like other things, like there is I can't think of any good examples now, but there's definitely like good examples of it. But I was thinking too, like it's kind of sad. Remember when people used to cry about microtransactions in like the Xbox 360 games, 360 days, like,
Hmm.
and like looking back on the microtransactions that did exist back then, most of them were like fine. Most of them were like buy this to get this skin gun. Now, dude, you buy a battle pass, you don't get to, and let's say you like don't have the time to play it, you're like losing out on money. Battle pass, you need to sign in on this game, or else you'll never ever get that skin because that's battle pass exclusive, and once the battle pass ends you'll never be able to get it. And like I just hate like artificial
Yeah,
scarcity and like, oh, this skin will never ever come back again because we said so and we like money.
the battle pass should be free. Completing the battle pass could be a pay thing, but you shouldn't have to buy the battle pass and then like you made a good point, like you don't have the time to get all the ranks in it and then you lose out on money.
Yeah. And the thing is too, like with battle passes, I just don't like these time. There's a battle pass for every single game. It sucks. It's just so
Yeah,
cringe.
it's just the norm now. Remember back in like this is gonna tie into our next topic. Remember like back in the day, like it feels like games that came out on the GameCube era, the PlayStation 2 era, it feels like those were the best, like most nostalgic things. And honestly, I don't even think it's just nostalgia anymore. I think those games were honestly just packed with as much content as they could fit on a disc or a cartridge at that time because DLC wasn't a thing, online was as big as it was now. So you were getting the game in its fullest and they were polished.
Yeah, the thing, it's so hard because there's so many factors. So like let's say like there are a lot of GameCube games that we do not remember. We just remember the best ones. Like I do remember Spy Hunter because it was trash and I hated it. But like we will look back at this generation of games and we're not going to remember a lot of the stuff we're mentioning right now. We're going to remember God of War. We're going to remember Smash Bros. We're going to remember the highlights of it, and we're going to think gaming's going to suck in 10 years. But onto your point, I think really good games had a lot of different. I think online multiplayer kind of ruined like content in games because like Resident Evil, for example, they had mercenaries, they had like the Ada Wong side story, they had side and A and B, and yeah, they still do that, but like not a lot of like single player games do that many. Like it's a having weird side modes is a relic of the past. We don't really have that anymore because games are either single player, you complete the story and you're good, maybe you get a new game plus, or it's multiplayer games. These are two different genres of games. These are apparently never allowed to overlap because like you see games like Last of Us that had a single player and a multiplayer. They didn't bring back the multiplayer even though everyone loved it because they're too focused on the single player. It's like it's kind of like specialization. So I don't want to say devs aren't good or anything, but you get a dev team specialized to make single player content, and you're gonna make them make a bingo mode. You're gonna make them make a multiplayer mode. I think these are like at this point, multiplayer has gotten so good you have to get somebody who's skilled in multiplayer. Single player games have gotten so good you have to get somebody who's skilled in single player games, and it's kind of hard to like make these people get out of their bubbles because they're so good at what they do, and why would you waste their time making a bingo mode?
So I'm gonna question you on something you said earlier. When you were talking about side story modes being a relic of the past, do you think, with that belief, that Resident Evil 4 should charge extra for the Ada Wong stories? Because back in the OG RE4, they had mercenaries and they had the separate ways.
Yeah, yeah. Like in the
Which were,
remake? No, the remake has to like stick with whatever the original game did. So like, even though I was just thinking that is still not out yet, but when it does come out, it has to be free because one, they never charge for Resident Evil DLC, and two, it's a remake, and in the original game it was free. It's a relic of the
would they
past, but if you're making a remake, you kind of have to be the past.
they charge for the Shadows of Rose DLC or Village of Shadows DLC?
True, because Resident Evil 8 isn't a remake. That's why they get charged for that DLC.
So, but so you're saying they haven't charged for remake DLC, but this has really only been the no, they did charge for remake DLC.
What remake DLC
Resident
was?
Evil 2, they charged for the survival, those extra stories. They charged for those.
No, that's dirt free. That was free.
All of them?
Yeah, they were all free. Resident Evil 2 remake rocks, dude. They were all
Even the
free.
Hunk one?
Yeah, it was all free. Hunk, Tofu, Force Survivor, and that DLC stuff, that was all free. You booted up your game and it's just there.
Hold up. I'm in disbelief. Go on off a tangent. I gotta check this out. I did not know they were free.
Bro, Resident Evil 2 Remake is one of the best games of the last generation. It's top 5. I know it's a remake of a game from 1998, but they're giving you free. They give you a store. You can have stuff. You have stuff to do. It's fun. It's a good game. It has free DLC. It has the wacky modes. Only games that replicate the past have these wacky side modes like Hunk and Force Survivor, and Ada Wong is going to come in Resident Evil 4 eventually, I'm sure. But Resident Evil
Right.
8, which is from the same company, oh, Rose's side story, that's a was it $30? That's a DLC because
I see it. It is free. You're right.
insane, right? Because Resident Evil 8 is not a remake. Resident Evil 8 is a modern game. Therefore, if you want the extra wacky side story with superpowers, you're going to have to pay for it because
Okay,
we
that makes
accepted
sense.
that.
But back to older games versus newer games. Um, you think that games evolved like respectfully so, like from the past? You think the past should stay the past, and then the future of games should stay progressing? You
Uh,
don't think that we should go back to old? You don't think that there was a special, something that those older games had that newer games don't?
I think it was special that single player games had wacky modes, but I'm in the minority because everyone's buying what's available now. So like, why would they care that I think it's special that they had bingo mode if everyone would buy the game bingo mode or no? If they're gonna buy the game with or without it, they just make the game without it from a business perspective, right? Don't waste the money making this new side mode. So yeah, like I think it was special. I think it was cool. Chow Garden, all that stuff is sick, but like players today don't. I don't want to say they don't care, but they do not like. It doesn't matter to them in the new world. Like they're selling games without doing this stuff, so why should they care?
Um, I've heard the takes before where it's quality over quantity, or like content versus like game length. This is probably going to be a weird take to hear, but I believe in quantity and quality, and I can explain exactly what I mean. And this
Bro
is going to
wants
take
to eat
back.
his cake and eat it too. I mean,
Have my cake and eat it.
wow, bro. Wait,
I'm
before
gonna.
we move on though, think about the stuff we didn't play. We did not play Resident Evil 3 Resistance. We skipped that mode. And Resident Evil what's that other Resident Evil mode? Like, oh, this might be going to what you're saying, but like actually we might agree. We might both want to eat our cake and eat it too, so I'm going to just let you finish.
That's because Resident Evil 3 was just not even made by the Remake 2 team. So they completely fucking cooked that game till it was burned.
Too cooked.
Um, Too cooked, yes. So my my quantity and quality take. All right, let me put into perspective. When did Grand Theft Auto 5 come out?
2013, I think.
And how many Grand Theft Auto games have we had since then?
Literally zero.
Okay, when did Skyward Sword came out in 2011? The Legend of Zelda, right?
Yeah.
We got Breath of the Wild in 2017.
Yeah.
So it's I think 6 years, which is 1 year longer than the gap between Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, which is 5 years.
Okay. Okay.
The gap between GTA 4 and 5 was I think 4 years.
Okay.
Both really good games. Even the Skyward Sword, I'll argue after playing it, it was a good game, and Breath of the Wild was both a good game. So in the past, let's see, what would that be? 12 years. We've gotten two Zelda games, and one is off the same engine as another one.
Which wait,
Correct me
Skyward
if I'm wrong.
Sword and Twilight Princess had the same engine?
No. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom have the
Oh
same
yeah,
engine.
you're right. Sorry. So yeah, yeah.
Obviously we've had little like smaller Zelda games, but I'm talking about mainline Zelda games. That's the argument to be made.
Yeah.
That's what people are looking for. So back back in the early 2000s, let's go from let's take 2000 to 2007, right? A 7 year gap, okay?
Yeah.
So that was all before GTA 4 came out. But in that time, we got Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and arguably one of the best Grand Theft Auto games of all time, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Facts.
And they made those three really good games, that trilogy, in a matter of 7 years, all for the PS2.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The Legend of Zelda, um, which it's taking them on average, looking 6 or 7 years to pump out a game now. Back then, we got Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess. All really good games and packed with content. Um, well, not really packed, like obviously with content. Like there's the exception to be made with like Ocarina of Time. Obviously, it's the first 3D Zelda game, but
Yeah.
there was a lot of dungeons. There was a lot going on. They were complete games,
Yeah.
and we got those. Let's say starting at '98 is when Ocarina of Time dropped to I think 2006. So in 8 years,
4 games.
we got four Zelda games. What do you think that it's truly uh, um just a current state of mind where games have to take as long as they do to be as good as they are, or do you think that there we can go back to that quantity and quality aspect?
I think we can go back to quality and quantity, but it will never come back in the mainstream. So, like Sony games, like exclusive games, Final Fantasy, Spider-Man, these games will never come out like like every 2 years, every 3 years, because like it just takes too long. These games are like look like real life. There's too much going on. You have 1,000 animations. The only place you're going to get quality slash quantity is like indie games now. You know what I mean? So like
Yes.
indie games, you don't have to make something look like real life. Like we just need to accept that like some games look okay. Right when we accept that all games don't need to look like hyper realistic creepypasta eyes, I think we're okay with like we'll be okay to go back to quality and quantity. But like until then, you're going to find like some companies, they find, all right, our quality is here. Let's poop out a game every single year, like Call of Duty. And you know what kind of, I haven't played them, but I think is kind of quality and quantity right now, from what I've heard. Assassin's Creed used to do a game every single year, and people are getting tired. They used to say that the games weren't quality anymore. There's a bunch of quantity. There's a bunch of Assassin's Creed games, but they're the same game. So now that I think they moved to a 3-year cycle. So they had the Egypt one. They had the Greek one, Valhalla. Oh, that's probably Vikings, right? And now they have one in Japan. And I think like these games are all 3 or 4 years apart. So I think they're like, okay, we're spending too much time with low quality, and we're doing too much quantity. Let's dial it back a little bit. And that was kind of the goal with Call of Duty too, right? They're doing the same thing but with different teams. Like Sledgehammer Game will do a 3-year cycle. Treyarch will do a 3-year cycle, something like that. So like I think people are trying, but I think like the standards for what a AAA game looks like is so high, it's so hard.
Um, the main point I got out of what you were saying with the Assassin's Creed is they switched to be more quality based over quantity,
Yeah,
but they kept it consistency.
exactly. They
So
picked a
every
middle
three,
point.
4 years.
Yeah,
Yes. So the thing I'm afraid of is that we're branching away from that consistency aspect in terms of times from when games are releasing. Like nobody could have thought that Grand Theft Auto 6 was gonna still not be out 10 years, 10 plus years later.
yeah,
And that's mainly we can blame that on Grand Theft Auto Online
yeah. But the thing
because
is, with GTA Online, people will like that game regardless. They made something so good that people will play that game. People will do RP, like role play, in that game for years now. Like even if GTA 6 doesn't come out, that game will always be played. Like I don't know, that game, it's so hard. And like I don't know if you talk to a GTA Online player, I don't know if they'll say all this stuff isn't quality, because they release a lot of stuff. Well, that's quantity. I don't know how quality their updates are to that game. Because like there's nothing wrong with not making GTA 6, right? As long as what you're bringing to GTA 5 is really good. I don't know how good the GTA 5 online updates are. Whenever I see it, I just see heist. So
to an extent though it's still the same game, and that's the problem I was talking about last week's podcast about Tears of the Kingdom.
yeah,
You play the game, you experience the new stuff, which is only like maybe like 20 hours, 15 to 20 hours of new content, and then but once you've seen it, it's done, so you don't even have to fully experience it. Like you know this world, everyone knows this world.
yeah,
So with GTA 5, that would be, I guess, my same thing. Like people are gonna get bored regardless of how much updates you push out into the game.
yeah,
There's only
yeah,
you can argue there's a minority group that's always going to be playing the game, but I feel like we can trim that down to it's like speed running. Like speed running people are going to be playing Resident Evil 2 until it dies. Like they're always going to be trying to play that game. That's their game. That's
yeah,
what they're playing. That's what their fan base is playing. Um, and obviously it's like that for everything, for every game. But there's the casual players who are going to want more after a bit of time. They can't keep eating eating the same meal.
yeah. Like the chicken parm is done. Like it's cooked. You
It's
got it.
done. Yeah.
It's done. But yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I just think like we have to, as players, we would have to incentivize GTA or Rockstar to make a GTA 6, which they are now. But you know, so it's kind of a moot point. But like, since they're making bucket loads and bucket loads of money with every single GTA 5 update. Why would they ruin that with GTA 6? Even though, like, I'm sure there's developers at GTA that are so tired of developing GTA Online and they really want to make single player story content so bad. And it's been 10 years since they were able to do so, which is crazy. But yeah, like, I just, like, we incentivize, if a game looks really, really, really good, we buy it. If a game, like if GTA players are still buying the DLC, why would they make a new game? And I just think it's like, of course they got to chase the money. So I don't know, like it's GTA is a weird example because of that, because they're still getting bucket loads of money for that stuff. But yeah, it
It
sucks.
sucks, and it I guess it's the same argument to be made with Fortnite, but they're also constantly changing that game's map.
Yeah, Fortnite's different. Fortnite's 10 different games. Every season's a different game. No build
Um,
mode and build mode. Yeah.
so uh, are you a fan of the games that are, experience this vast land that's absolutely filled with nothing, or are you more of a linear? I gotta go here. I gotta go where the game tells me, but there's content on every turn.
I that's a
Or do you
very
think?
loaded question the way you phrased it, but I hate open world games. I hate wasting my time walking from point A to point B for two characters to make needless conversation. I love tell me to go here, tell me to go here, tell me to go here. You know what was perfect blend? Final Fantasy VII Remake was like kind of like very linear in a way. If I'm remembering correctly, it's just like story. You do this story mission, you do this story mission, and yeah, you could do this random side quest if you want, but it means nothing. And like it's really just like if I'm playing a story mode game, just show me the story mode. I'm not here to get Jose towels. You know what I mean?
I feel like what a lot of games are missing is that sense. It is that giant world, but they're missing the sense of exploration. Like the giant world is the advertisement and selling point of the game.
Yeah.
Go anywhere you want, and obviously that's what I really liked about Breath of the Wild until I realized, hey, this game's chock full of nothing. But and Tears of the Kingdom, there's all caves, and what one of the I remember my friend saying, he's like, there's 120 armor sets in this game, and I was like, dude, that's freaking amazing. But as I'm playing the game, all the armor sets were the same ones from Breath of the Wild. So
Uh,
is there really 120 armor sets in or pieces of armor in this game, or is there really 40? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Also, too, like, I think I didn't play it for long, but like, there are open world games that are actually insane in scope. Like, I don't know, like how it really an open world game. Yeah, it could be big, but it should be dense, right? So, like, I play Yakuza, and the open world is about like 9 streets long. It's a very tiny open world, but like, there's 1,000 things you could do in those 9 streets. It's very, very dense. It's the best open world game because like you could do a bunch of things. You could do anything you want. You know what I mean? It's like you the thing I don't like is just driving for no reason or walking for no reason. So like
Yeah.
that's a problem. And I think open world games too, like it's the same thing repeated over. So you have a town, you have your shop, you have your bed, your hotel where you regain health, and then some people to talk to, some quest givers. Same thing over here. Same thing over here. Same thing over here. Thing over here. When you play a game like Yakuza, um, when you play a game like Yakuza, um, sorry, Chanel was texting me on the computer, so I need to cut that out. When you play a game like Yakuza, like there's 9 streets and like very rarely things are repeated. So like the batting cages are over there, that's a mini game. The idol the karaoke's over here, that's a mini game. So like yeah, I think smaller, it's just tough because like make your game, it doesn't work narratively. So like if you're playing Final Fantasy, right, and it's an open world, you kind of have to be like go on this grand journey where you're going across the world and you're fighting everything that comes to you. If your grand story only consists of 1 to 2 towns, like is it really that grand? I understand why people artificially pad out like you know the open world because like narratively it makes sense. You don't want your open world game to last 2 hours. But yeah, it just sucks. It's a lot of work, and it's one of those factors that's going to make a game's development time turn into 10 years. But open world games are no joke.
So what I'm hearing here is that a smaller worlded game broken down into segments that are full of content, you like more than open world games that are just open just to be open.
Yes, but I do understand why some games are open just to be open.
I'm gonna loop back to where we were a bit earlier on how games kind of lost themselves over time. Um, a game genre that's kind of died out is the collectathon, which
Yeah, yeah,
there was a lot of them. Obviously, like PS2 games there was a bunch of them
yeah.
because like how else are you gonna? They were very easy appealing to like kids and I guess people of that time. But if I remember playing Banjo Kazooie um, when I was younger, and I still played it up until like I was at least 19. I was playing again over quarantine. I remember that game. It was a big hub world, but there was 10 worlds inside the main hub world that you can go to, and they were completely packed with stuff. And then the second one, Banjo Tooie, it was the that hub world idea, but the world was fully connected now. So like now you're not just jumping through paintings, kind of like Mario 64, right?
Yeah.
And every world connect, like there was a dinosaur land and there was also like a carnival land, but there would be like paths in the dinosaur land that took you to the carnival land, so you didn't have to walk all the way from place to place. Like if you were in one world, there was chances are there was a shortcut to another world, you just had to find it. And the games were super explorative, and I just feel like I missed there was a charm of those old games that we just really haven't gotten back in a long time. And it's not even just the nostalgia factor that's making me like, be like, oh, Banjo Kazooie is the best game of all time. But it's a game that it was going in the right direction. And then they completely ruined it with nuts and bolts, they ruined the exploration factor. They're like, oh, build whatever you want now. And then we haven't seen a Banjo game in forever.
Yeah,
So
and
what I think, sorry to cut you off,
no,
but
you're
what I
good.
think they did is they tried to progress with everything new that was happening around them, and in doing that, they killed what made the franchise good.
No, that makes sense. The thing with games like that, like games of that genre, like the people in music, like you go to a music video on the bottom, it says, "Oh, I was born in the wrong generation."
Yes.
We're kind of sounding like that right now because like people do make games like this still. They're just double A or indie games. So like I'm sure A Hat in Time. I'm pretty sure it's a collectathon. I've seen a couple things on my TikTok about this guy making a collectathon about like this old man, but like I don't know. I think the game. I don't want to say it's oversaturated, but like obviously shooter genre is very, very popular. Even single player games, single player story games, some of them are even shooters too. So like I think that like for some reason people are not buying these games, or maybe the same population of people buying these games like collectathons, maybe it's still there, but the population of people buying Call of Duties are just so much bigger. We just don't see those games as often anymore. But yeah, they definitely still exist in the form of indie games. But the thing is too, like when an indie gamer plays Banjo Kazooie and they're inspired to make ukulele, right? It's like, yes, that's nice, and yes, like I do live in a time where I'm fortunate enough to play like a collectathon. I'm fortunate enough to play Banjo Kazooie, Banjo Tooie, and now ukulele because someone was inspired. Oh well, I guess that's a lot of the same people, right? Or ukulele fan edition, right? Fans will get inspired by Banjo Kazooie and make a game like Banjo Kazooie. But like obviously, that's not going to like go on forever if there aren't new AAA collectathons, right? I've been playing Ratchet and Clank, I said last week, and that game's a little bit has some collecting elements, but like a mainstream collectathon game has not been like in game of the year territory or AAA territory in a long time. So if indie games the only thing that's going to keep it going, people are going to eventually, unless some indie game like breaks ground, it's the best thing ever. People aren't going to be inspired to make collectathons because there aren't players playing collectathons because there aren't games about collectathons. You know what I mean? It's like a cycle.
I like that you brought up ukulele. Something that kind of ties in with this topic about ukulele, and you saying that like there's not like big enough fan bases comparatively to like other AAA things. So you're saying like they would need to drop like a bomb of a game to bring a genre back.
Exactly.
Ukulele, if correct, if I'm not right on this, I guess comments correct me because I don't know if you'll know it, but it was completely crowdfunded.
Believe so.
So
Yes.
there was there's a a population of people who are craving this kind of game to be brought back. And I think, like you said, all it's going to take, what it takes is it's going to take a really good developer or developing team to bring it back. We haven't gotten Ukulele 2, or we got one, but it was a 2D side scroller. I really liked it, but we haven't got another 3D one, and I think that game came out in like 2017.
Yeah, it's been years.
So I don't think we're getting another one. I guess maybe they didn't get as much money as they thought they would from it, but I do agree with you that it would take a certain someone to bring a game back because when FPS shooters started coming off, I mean, Call of Duty was kind of like the original one. Like they were doing Call of Duty 3, and then we got games like Battlefield and Halo that kind of came with it.
Yeah, yeah, I would say
And
Halo first, but little minor detail, but yeah.
yeah, so those games came kind of with it, and so it would be like that. It's kind of like a snowball. Like if ukulele or like if Banjo 3 comes out, it's the best game of the year. You know, it's gonna like avalanche to a bunch of other people trying to replicate it.
Yeah, and I think with indie games, I think people like A Hat in Time. I've heard that game's very, very, very good, and if you like games like this, you should play it. But I feel like even really, really, really good indie games, like let's say like Undertale, they aren't. Undertale's a bad example, but let's just use A Hat in Time, right? A Hat in Time is an indie game, and it was really good, right? Indie games, they cannot, I feel like inherently they are not genre defining because people make it so they're not genre defining. So like ea isn't EA isn't looking at A Hat in Time and they're like, oh, that game's really successful. But it's an indie game, so they were just playing the odds and they got lucky. I feel like that's the way developers look at like these indie progress, like these indie successes. They're like, oh, but that wouldn't work for us. So let's just keep making the big games. And like they aren't making these like a good word for it's like single A or double A. Like in between, like ukulele doesn't need, or I mean, like Banjo Kazooie 3 does not need to be $150 million, I'm sure. And it doesn't need to look like Call of Duty. It needs to look like a kid's game. Which sell shading and all that stuff, so it doesn't need to be expensive. You don't need to spend the same amount of money on it. And like you said, the audience is there, so like I feel like people are scared of catering to a smaller audience, or they're scared to cater to anything that's not the biggest audience in the world. So like Sony releasing The Last of Us, it's one of the greatest stories of our time. So everyone who has a PS5 is going to want to play it. It's like everyone's like marketing towards like the biggest demographic of people, and they aren't like getting these little pockets of people who would still like be very, very like would still make you a living, if that makes sense, or will still like get you a net income that's positive.
Yeah, like the developers are dependent on the customers more than the customers are dependent on the developers dropping a game they want.
Yeah, that's kind
All
of
right.
how it is. Yeah, yeah,
Um. Yeah. So I guess that's a really good way of explaining why we're kind of in this gaming loop right now, because I guess we're getting exactly what we want. So why stop what's working?
exactly. Why
Um,
break what's not broken? Wait,
it, it,
that's not what it's how it goes. Whatever. It's not broke, don't
if it's
fix
not
it.
broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just sucks to see. I'm sure a lot of people, like a bunch of people, are disappointed to see where the way gaming's going. But we're getting some new games. Spider-Man 2 is going to be dope. Um,
Yeah, it just sucks because like a lot of the times, like I think a lot of people have this too. I have 1,000 games to play and I don't want to play any of them. So it's like I don't know. I know I'm not the only one in that. It's like it's weird. It's where it's like I feel like there's gonna be a change soon, but we'll see.
when when Dead Space remake came out, I never played the original, but as I'm playing this game, I'm getting a sense of like I'm getting a sense of like nostalgia, and I think that came from like me like obviously playing older survival horror games, but there was something about it that just like you could tell the era it was made in, but
Yeah,
there was something so good about it.
yeah,
Like I loved being able to find new weapons, and if I missed them, that was it. Like I missed those weapons. I can't like I would have to go all the way back to this spot to get it back. But that sense of little exploration that they included, and you being able to upgrade these weapons, they do insane things, and the extreme lack of DLC purchases that I can get this weapon if I pay $5.99, and all the weapons were in the game and all the upgrades were in the game, and all you got to do is just you got to be an explorer, you got to go find these things, and that's kind of what like it's kind of like I remember you bringing up earlier how you said that it was that era, like, oh, if I was listening to music in this era, if only I was born in this era.
yeah,
But I would not want to go back and play games made in the 80s, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah.
like early 90s. I wouldn't want to be a part of that era. I like where we're going. I just and but with this, you can tell it's kind of like how games used to be harder to make that them last. Like give the player more time to play it. There was a difficult. They were really difficult,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you
yeah.
couldn't just beat it in 2 hours. And I still got a sense of that with the Dead Space game. I played it for 24 hours before I beat it. It was really good. It was every bit I loved. I felt like nothing was. I felt like there wasn't a part of the game where I was just like, "Oh, come on, can this thing end already?" Or like, I'm getting bored. Like, it was always keeping me on my toes. And as I was playing like newer, longer games, there's always parts where I'm just like, "Oh, like I'm gonna go on my phone for a few minutes," or like, I'm still. We're so stimulated now, like
Well,
with like
obviously not. It's
phones
not
and
us because you're playing Dead Space and you're liking it. And you're not looking at your phone. You're just looking at mid content, so you want to go on your phone. It's not that we're overstimulated. It's that we just accept mid because we can listen to a podcast while we're playing mid.
you don't think that like people like can kind of get any content they want now just like with their phones, so like that they're just unamused to everything else.
I think we are more specialized in what we like. So like if something's really really interesting, we're still I don't think if you're really really interested by something, I think I think this is a better way to phrase it. I think we're disinterested by more things and we're hyper interested in a lot more. We're both disinterested by more things and we're hyper interested in more things. So we're hyper interested in stuff on Twitter, stuff on our phone, hyper interested in maybe Dead Space, but we're not but we're disinterested by the talking scene that we know is a secret loading screen. So we'll hop on our phone and look at something we're interested in. I think we just have like I don't think we're any more stimulated or are not stimulated. I think we just or we get bored easier because we know what we like and what we don't like.
Yes, so that's going to the stimulated. So like, are you against that argument or are you for that argument?
Okay,
So
okay.
like
I
I
think I'm
can
using
I
it in a
can
different way you are. I think like okay, I think we get bored easier. We get bored by more things, but I don't think we always need to do like TikTok 7 seconds. Our attention spans are so low. We have to listen to a podcast while we're playing a game. I don't think we're there. I think we might agree though.
I think that you could, hypothetically speaking, hand me a AAA game right now, or I can go on YouTube.com and type in people getting kicked in the nuts compilation, and I feel like there's there's a high chance I could be more interested in the YouTube content than I would be in the the game itself.
True. Is the game really good though?
I don't know. It's a new game.
Yeah, it depends. Definitely some AAA games I would rather watch the compilation. That's for sure. But
So I feel that the consumer fan base right now, and I feel like that's why people are punching, like punching out these DLC packs, and obviously like all the downloadable content, because like it tied into something earlier we were saying about people wanting new content for the game if they're going to make the game try to last as long as it possibly can.
yeah.
But I still feel like the, like, you see people playing those like weird like games where you gotta like mash the buttons. I've seen you playing them before with your keyboard, like where you gotta mash a bunch of buttons to match up the tones that the game is making.
Yeah, like rhythm game. Yeah.
Yeah, rhythm games, like stuff like that. It's like very keeping you on your toes. It's like there's a very specific fan base for it, and uh, that's what's kind of sucks. Like it's kind of sucking the fun out of like being able to play a new game, because before I had a phone, I back when I was like 8 years old, I get a new game, like we get Little Big Planet for Christmas,
Base.
2008, and we're playing Little Big Planet on our PlayStation 3, and nobody's doing anything else. Everybody's completely sucked into this game. Like we're not trying to watch cartoons. We have no phones to go on. Like we don't care. I don't care about playing with my toys. I just want to play this game with it. Like like this game's got me in a chokehold, right?
Yeah, but in your household, Little Big Planet is for sure the best thing happening that day. Everyone's playing Little Big Planet if you had enough controllers because it's the best thing around. Little Big Planet is pretty damn good. I'm not trying to say like, oh, it's the best thing you had. It's not that good. But the thing is, our phones are so underratedly good. They're so good. It beats like 90% of games. A game's gonna have to be really good. Like your phone has your favorite thing on it right now. The thing you like to do the most, the thing you're most interested in, your phone has it on it right now, and it's probably like 3 clicks away. That's why it's an unfair competition to face a AAA game against a phone, because your favorite thing in the world has your favorite thing in the world 2 clicks away on your phone. That game's gonna have to be really good for you to not want to look at your favorite thing. So it's kind of like a battle against this game is going to have to entertain you enough where you forget about your favorite thing for X hours. We didn't have to think about that when we were kids, because during Little Big Planet, oh, my favorite thing, Dragon Ball Z, let's say Dragon Ball Z. If I want to think about Dragon Ball Z, I'm going to have to turn the game off, change the channel, and look at Dragon Ball Z on Toonami or whatever. You know what I mean? It was a lot more steps to reach your hyper interest back in the day. Now it's very simple.
That's true. That's a really good point. Like I can Google Gohan's or Goku's death right now in YouTube and save myself watching all of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, our phones are just too OP.
Um, have you ever gotten to like an argument with somebody and you like absolutely know that you're not going to be able to change their mind?
Yes.
It's so fucking annoying, dude. There's this like there's been people where like they've just been so wrong before, and like I like they refuse to let me like convince them otherwise. Like regardless of how many facts I throw at their face, they're just like a stone wall. There's this. I remember there's this kid at my job, and we were talking about the cart pushing policy, or not policy, but like the cart pushing thing, like if you're a good Samaritan or not.
Yeah. Like carton arcs.
Yeah. So we were talking about that, and we're like, yeah, just push the cart back. Just because it's a sign of like being a good Samaritan. Like you don't have to. It's not something you're expected to do, but if you do it, it's just going to show the type of person you are.
Yeah, exactly. It's a morale boost XP gain.
There's and this kid at my job, he's like, well, I don't think that's true at all. And he's like, what if you got a call that your mom just got rushed into the ER, and you don't have time to push the cart back? And I'm just like, what? And he's like, yeah, what if this super specific something happened at this certain time of day, and and like that's obviously like it's a common occurrence, right?
Well, the thing is, it doesn't matter.
He's,
Yeah, that's a hyper rare scenario. It's
I
obviously
don't.
Whether you
It's
get into
possible.
heaven or hell depends on your average. It like did you over your lifetime did you push the cart into the corral more than 75% of the time? That's what it's not like one decision ends it all. It's 75. Did you push it in at least 75% of the time? That's what it really
But
is.
that was like the anecdotal argument he was using.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like that, like everybody's always going through that.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. Everyone's
And
mom is
that's
filled with hospitals. I mean, everyone's hospital is filled with that guy's moms.
yeah, yeah, every hospital in the world has like his mom.
Yeah. Like every no, like he's like so scared to go shopping because every time he's about to push the cart back, like his mom's in the ER again. So he like tries to do like DoorDash and stuff, but he just can't afford it. And then like it's kind of like, and like right when he's about to push the cart back, he steps on a crack. He gets a call. His mom's in the ER, shattered back, broken back. And he just doesn't know if it's the crack or if it's like the shopping cart thing. So he tries to avoid both at all times.
He's given up on using shopping carts. He just one trips everything now.
He's holding everything in his hands. He's having such a hard time, and everyone's trying to like offer him like a cart, but he's not taking it. And like he just keeps like dropping stuff. And when he picks something else up, he's like dropping three more things. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the person that's you if you base your argument slowly off of specific scenarios.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
that person. You're the we're the based does everything off of moral belief, and you're the cringe carries everything in one hand around the
Exactly.
supermarket.
Not asking for help, but clearly expecting it. Type uh person. Yeah,
Yeah, you're that person.
lame,
You're that character.
lame. Well,
There
anything
was
else you
a
want to
yeah.
bring up? We've been at this for an hour 20 minutes.
Um no, I was thinking about wrapping up as well. Is there any ending funny stories you got or
No, I don't think so. But we definitely have to watch Spider-Man between today and Saturday. And you know what?
well,
We also one of these weeks we'll have to watch Resident Evil 2, the live action movie. Those are two things on the to do list.
wait, I thought we watched the Resident Evil 2 live action movie.
We never watched a Resident Evil 2 live action ever. Well,
The
not
one with
together.
the one or, no, you're talking we're talking about the one where it's based in Raccoon City, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Netflix one, right? With Victoria's
No. Not the
because we
Netflix
watched
one.
that one.
The
That
live
one
action
sucked.
one with the director's wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the one like 20 years old now. All right, guys. That's it for this week's. All right, guys. That's it for this week's episode of the Welcome Back podcast. Just kidding. It's a Cookies and Cream podcast. We'll catch you next week.
Peace out.
Peace.